Hello and welcome to the recap. I'm your host, Big D. My colleague and partner in crime, Michael D'Angelo, is taking some well-deserved time off with his family, and I hope you have a great vacation, Michael. We will see him back here next week. Without further ado, here goes what happened last week in WWE. So first off, starting with Monday Night Raw, we had a opening with Cody Rhodes and Seth promo running down the Rock in his 21-minute promo on Instagram, which was pretty lengthy, where he attacked his dog and all this other kind of stuff. Seth's trying to really put over the new Diarrhea Dwayne moniker that he's crowning Dwayne Rock the Dwayne Johnson, is what I call him, because of all the nonsense he's been spewing, kind of paying homage to like the old school talking trash kind of wrestling. It was all right. I mean, kind of pointless, I feel, because it was all just leading up to, well, I'll answer you next week. Well, I'm sorry, on Friday at SmackDown, because this is Monday, so now we got to wait 4 more days. After that, we saw Gunther squashing Dominic Mysterio with JD McDonough on ringside. You also had backstage segment after that where Damian Priest tells Dom, restart this. Sorry. Restarting in three, two, one. Hello and welcome to the recap. I'm your host, Big D. My partner in crime, Michael D'Angelo, is taking some well-deserved time off with his family. Hope you enjoy your vacation, Michael. We'll see you back here next week. Till then, here is what happened this week on WWE. Started off Monday Night Raw with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins running down the Rock pretty much on his 21-minute promo and everything that he said on Instagram. Overall, this could have gone maybe less than what it really did. It was a pointless promo. All they said was, "We'll answer you on Friday at SmackDown Live." So take with it what you want. Seth trying to put over the Diarrhea Dwayne moniker. The crowd seemed to get behind it. We'll see how that plays out on SmackDown here in a bit. After that, Gunther, your IC champion, squashed Dominic Mysterio from Judgment Day. JD McDonough was then later on told by Damian Priest that he needs to fix and handle Gunther, which we all know not a very tall task to do, so good luck to him for that. But during the match, something very interesting. Both Michael Cole and Pat McAfee shouted out Sting's retirement on AEW, his retirement match. They didn't really talk too much about the match, and it seemed like right when Pat McAfee was about to go into detail of the match, Michael Cole kind of cut him off. But still nice to see WWE and AEW play nice. Maybe that does lead into something, later on down the line with some AEW talent. Hopefully the Young Bucks going up against some WWE talent, New Day. Something I'd like to see, but who knows? Time will tell. After that, we had our party crew besties there going up against Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. Pretty much easy match for Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. Nothing really spectacular about the match. Did set up a match with the Kabuki Warriors because Damage Control was at ringside, so they were there to talk trash and agreeing to a championship title match the next week. Pretty much telegraphing the ending of NXT's tag title match that's going to happen the next night on NXT. There you have it. Women's tag division in one summary there. It's, they're not really paying much attention to the NXT talent, which they really should, because there's a lot of talent down in NXT, I feel. But Kabuki Warriors looking to retain at NXT and then go up against Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark next week on Raw. After that, we had Becky Lynch and Nia Jax finally get their blow-off match, I guess, and go at each other, only to be interfered with by Liv Morgan. I feel that this is kind of, at first I wasn't sure how they were going to go with this, but now that I'm kind of had some time to breathe and think about it, they may be hinting at a 4-way title match at WrestleMania, which in my opinion will make no sense, 0 sense, because what's the point of what's the point of the Elimination Chamber match and Becky Lynch winning the Elimination Chamber match for a title shot if you're just going to throw in Nia and Liv because they're interfering? Just my thoughts. Not saying that's going to happen, but that's kind of what it's looking like, and I don't understand why. But anyways, on to better things. You had the announcement of a 6-man gauntlet match going on next week to crown the number 1 contender for Gunther's Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. And within that gauntlet match, you have Ricochet, Chad Gable, Sami Zayn, Bronson Reed, Shinsuke Nakamura, JD McDonough got his way in there. And they each kind of had something to say about it afterwards. Sami Zayn saying this is lining up to him, finishing his story. It seems like they're just overusing that. But then you had a Chad Gable. I mean, of course, before I go talk about Chad Gable, you had Sami Zayn talking about, he's finishing his own story, kind of hinting and insinuating that maybe he is going to win this, and he's going to challenge Gunther at Mania for the title and maybe win it. I would love to see that. I really would, because I like Sami Zayn. I think he's great overall. But after that, sometime during the show, we had Chad Gable approach Gunther, talking about how Gunther in September took the smile away from his daughter and embarrassed him and humiliated him, and he's going to take that smile back and he's going to put it on his daughter's face. Real fired up Chad Gable. And honestly, technically speaking, I would love to see Chad Gable win this, and that's who I'm going to guess will be. But again, Chad Gable, very fired up. We'll see if he can pull through against Ricochet, Sami Zayn, Bronson Reed, Shinsuke, and JD McDonough. That time will tell. We'll find out next week. After that, Andrade made his debut on Raw and squashed Apollo in 3 minutes. Maybe less, but not a good look for Apollo. Andrade did have his homage to Eddie Guerrero doing the Three Amigos, which, of course, being from El Paso, I love it. But I wish I would have seen a little bit more from Andrade. I feel like these squash matches as a debut, especially for somebody like Andrade, I feel the squash matches should be more for the bigger guys, like Bronson Reed, and you had Gunther. Like those, okay, it makes sense. But Apollo 2 is a very well decorated, not decorated, I should say, but a very established talent. And just to get squashed like that, I wasn't really too happy with it, but happy to see Andrade get the W. After that, we had our match of the night: Damian Priest and Finn Balor defending their titles against Imperium. And that was a great match, lots of back and forth, and Damian Priest just insanely aggressive. I think Michael Cole was even hinting at it, that he's angry because nobody thinks that he's gonna take the Money in the Bank serious and actually cash in on it, because we're already approaching the next Money in the Bank in July, and he still hasn't cashed in. But again, I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if we see him cash in at Mania for the IC title. That's still my prediction, but we'll see. But again, Damian Priest is working very aggressively. Finn Balor working together. They almost seem to have gotten the face dynamic of the match, because the crowd was really going for Damian Priest and Finn Balor, and they just kind of flew with it, right? They ran with it, and Imperium, again, not too shabby on their end either. They did put in some work, and a lot of great sets, a lot of great matches, and match spots, I should say, and it was just an overall fun match. So I would definitely recommend you go watch that if you have the chance. After that, we had Drew McIntyre laying into Seth there in a promo, talking about that Seth Rollins is just a spotlight junkie, and that the title deserves better, and that we deserve better from a champion, which kind of makes sense now. I hate saying it, but it kind of makes sense, because all this time Seth has been really preoccupied with the whole bloodline feud with Cody Rhodes and finishing his story and being his backup and being his friend. It's almost like he kind of throwing caution to the wind there when it comes to Drew McIntyre, which may not be the best idea or the best thing to do, only because Drew McIntyre isn't some chump. That's a formidable opponent that he has lined up for him at Mania. I don't know how well all these distractions are going to go for him, and they also come into fruition a little bit later on in the night. After that, we had Sami Zayn beating Ivar, getting his, another victory here on Raw, which was great to see. Beating Ivar in an okay match that was really more geared around Valhalla giving Michael Cole her antlers. I mean, that, as ridiculous as that sounds, that's as ridiculous as it seemed. They were really paying more emphasis on that. The crowd was more behind Michael Cole getting the antlers than they were the actual match. Sami Zayn won, and it just didn't really feel like anything. After that, Drew McIntyre took on Jey Uso at the main event. Looking good so far, but then, of course, come to distraction time. Here comes Solo Sikoa. But then Cody comes out for the save, kind of helping out his buddy there. Again, Cody Rhodes is the one that brought Jey over to SmackDown. So you had Cody Rhodes come out and make the save with Solo, only for Jimmy to come out and distract Jey Uso so that Drew McIntyre can hit the Claymore for the victory, leaving Jey Uso down. Something about distractions, right? That Jey Uso gets distracted. Now, again, furthering the Jey and Jimmy feud that's going to be going into Mania. I'm sure of it. I would be curious if they do Rikishi as a special guest referee. That'd be kind of cool to see. But after the match, of course, you had Jimmy doing the beatdown, and here comes Seth Rollins as well to make the save for some reason, just because it's bloodline, I guess. Here comes Cody. Here comes Seth. Takes down Jimmy. But again, he's distracted. Who's in the ring? Drew. And what does Drew do? Hit that Claymore, takes Seth out, stands tall with his title in his hand, yelling at him. Again, the distraction piece is coming into play. I could see Seth losing his title to Drew at Mania just because he's still infatuated with. He gave himself a second match pretty much at Mania, but we'll talk about that here in a sec. I don't. Overall, the show wasn't anything really to. It was all right, I guess. One match of the night, and I mean, overall, I give the score about maybe a B minus. Only because again, you had some good matches on there, but at the same time, a lot of it just felt like a lead up to SmackDown. Everything was kind of like watch the SmackDown, and I wasn't really too big of a fan of that. So, for that reason, I give the show overall a B minus. Now, talking about SmackDown, that was a little more interesting. We had a Logan Paul promo, which was kind of dumb. I hated it. But of course, he came out talking about how he is taking credit for all the popularity, the rise in popularity of WWE, the rise in viewership, the rise in everything. And because of it, he took in his company Prime and debuted it on the middle of the ring mat to show that that's the new sponsor for WWE. Very UFC like, and that's something that when WWE became a part of this TKO brand, of course they also under UFC. One of the things that TKO brand was wanting to do is do ring branding, and that's how you would see a lot of like the video board stuff. You'd have like the Mountain Dew dark matches. You have like the whatever matches, right? You'd have, I think there was a Pizza Hut one, but now they're going to make it a little bit more obvious with the logos and images on the ring mats, similar to how UFC does. So as much as most of us don't like it, it's here to stay, and it's probably going to keep growing. He brought out KSI, and KSI, they're going to here celebrate, take a picture. They had a prime drink there with them. But then Randy Orton comes out from under the ring trying to hit that RKO on Logan Paul, but Logan Paul, of course, dodges it out of the way, and KSI takes the hit for it, at which point Logan Paul is already outside of the ring retreating, leaving his buddy laying there helplessly as Randy Orton picks up the prime drink. And speaking of cheesy sponsorship shots, takes his swig of prime, tells him, hey, it's not bad, as he pours it on KSI. It was fun until I started seeing that kind of stuff. It's reminding me of Ico Pro all over again back when Raw's War first started out, but we'll see how this develops. But Randy Orton was there for a reason, because he did have a match with Kevin Owens to face Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. That was a pretty fun match. Nothing too, I mean, it was a lot of back and forth. I feel that they did well playing off of one another. KO just tearing into Austin Theory, which was great to see. Randy Orton gets the hot tag. Overall, at the end of the day, KO throws Grayson Waller into Randy Orton for the RKO for the win. I'm sorry, Theory. Austin Theory. Hits Austin Theory for the RKO for the win. Only while they were standing tall and raising hands, Randy Orton approving and nodding, and they're shaking hands and all that good stuff. And here comes an awkwardly flying Logan Paul behind them trying to hit a double punch or it just looked awkward and stupid. He tried to hit him. Of course, tried to hit with the brass knucks. Randy Orton took him away. Tried to take a swing at Logan Paul. Logan Paul moved. Almost take KO. And then they just like, we caught each other. It's okay. And Randy Orton just drops the knucks in his trunks and says that that's where he's going to keep them for safekeeping. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have a three-way match for the U.S. title at Mania involving Randy Orton, KO, and Logan Paul. So we'll see. After that, we had a feud that made absolutely no sense from the beginning and still makes no sense now. Bobby Lashley taking on Karrion Kross, apparently to just end all this, whatever it is that's going on. They never really say what's going on. I never really know why they're feuding. So if anyone can tell me why they're feuding in the comments, please tell me, because I am completely lost. I don't know why they're feuding. I guess I don't know. They don't like each other. Maybe they cut in line at catering. I don't know, but they don't like each other, and so they went into each other for a no contest. First you had Scarlett kind of interfering, stopping him from making moves. Then you had AOP come out, at which point you had Street Profits come out, and then Beef Ab comes out, and everyone's just brawling, and at the end of the day, they hit the final testament, or He hits the final testament. That's what he's calling it. I'll just double checking my notes, guys, because they're called the Last Testament, and Karrion Kross's finisher, his new finisher, is called the Last Testament. Who knew? But yeah, so he hit the Last Testament, the final testament to stand tall. That was the end of that. Probably going to see that on the pre-show or the Friday before Mania. I don't see that as a Mania feud, but I could be wrong. After that, we had Tiffany Stratton taking on Mi Chin, and apparently a defeated Mi Chin because she did lose, but Mi Chin apparently very devastated in the breakup of the OC thanks to AJ Styles. And again, this match did not last very long. Tiffany Stratton hits her with the elbow to brings her down and hits her with the prettiest moonsault ever for the victory. Another person they seem to be pushing to the moon here, Tiffany Stratton. I would not be surprised if she's the next contender for the women's title after the feud with Bayley and Io Sky is over. After that, of course, we had Dragon Lee against Angel. I guess he's not Angel Garza anymore, but against Angel. And before this match, they had some lead up to it in the back where it looked like Dragon Lee was on the phone with Rey Mysterio because he had a Rey Mysterio shirt on and he was talking. And then they come out, Legado pretty much comes out to bully him and laugh at him, saying that he thinks he's the next Rey Mysterio and he's not going to be. They keep teasing him and taunting him and talking trash. So he sees him in the ring. This is the match. It was actually a really good match, really fun match. This was my match of the night. Excellent match. If you want to go watch it, check it out. I'm a big fan of Lucha Libre, what can I say? But this was a very fun match to watch. At the end of the day, Dragon Lee does defeat Angel with the roll-up pin. Not a fan of that either, but it leads to bigger and better things, I feel, because afterwards you had the beatdown of Legado hitting Dragon Lee with everything, just going at him and beating him up after the match. And I feel like they're laughing because they're saying that, you know, LWO wasn't there today, so they're going to just, again, I don't know why LWO had the night off, but they weren't there. So Dragon Lee just got beat up by himself. My guess is next week, LWO will be there. I'm anticipating Dragon Lee to join the LWO, and I'm anticipating a feud to build up to Mania between the two teams, and I'm all for it, especially if it's a Lucha Libre style, kind of like a Lucha Libre tag match. It'll be very fun to watch, and I hope they do it. Please, WWE, do it. Don't mess it up. Make it go the distance and make it fun. So we'll see. After that, we get the news we've been waiting for the entire night. They've had security. They've had people checking in on them. All this checking on security. That make sure that security was checking on them. And here we had the answer from Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins to The Rock and Roman Reigns' challenge. So, excuse me. It was very interesting to see. Of course, the entrances took forever. The Rock has a new entrance, which includes Lightning because he's the most electrifying athlete. Pretty cool. But all in all, I think the majority of the time was taken just all with that entrance alone. The entrance of the entrance of the Bloodlines, then Cody, then Seth. And of course, Cody tries to go at Roman saying, "You're really going to let Seth tells Cody, Cody tells him, you're really going to let The Rock make I thought you were the tribal chief. He's not going to run it by you. He's just going to make challenges for you." At which point, The Rock gets in his face and starts talking cash. Seth Rollins tells him, it pretty much ends with Seth Rollins accepting the match on their behalf. And you did get the Diarrhea Dwayne chants going, which was funny to hear happen because as corny and cheesy as that is, Seth's getting it over, obviously. So that's going to be an ongoing thing. So get used to hearing Diarrhea Dwayne, I guess. But The Rock again took the mic and started running down Cody with the same thing. Like, hey, so you're going to let Seth talk for you? You're going to let him speak on your behalf? You're going to let him answer for you? Kind of flip-flopping the scenario. At which point, he talks about you talked about my family, I'm going to talk about yours, Cody. And he said, you're the youngest of all your brothers. You probably never wondered why, but because you're a mistake. Cody slaps him, show ends, and that's the end of the night. But what they did there is kind of build that anticipation of when Cody was going to strike back at The Rock, and now it has happened. And now you have a new slap heard around the world in Cody getting The Rock back because The Rock started talking about his family. So clearly making this more about family more and more. I think it's good for pushing the bloodline storyline. As far as Cody and Seth, they're not related or anything, but Cody's very proud of his family and his heritage, so it makes sense. All in all, SmackDown was a little more entertaining. I give it a B+, just because you had a little more action going on. You had a lot more going on. And then you had the final interaction between the bloodline and and Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. So overall, great evening of wrestling again. I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed it, and I hope you all enjoyed it too. But again, B plus. I thought it was a fun show, and lots to look forward to at Mania and in the coming weeks as well. That's all I have here. Make sure you leave a comment, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Tell me what you agree with, what you don't agree with. If you don't like the way or what we're talking about here, let it be known. What do you want to talk about? Talk to us. Not trying to copy Cody there, but for real, let us know what you want to talk about. We'll be happy to go over anything here. But again, you agree with us, you don't agree with us. Either way, this was the show. These were the shows, and this was the recap. I have been Big D. I hope y'all enjoy your evening. Good night.